You open your phone, and everyone looks like they found something you missed. Someone laughing in a passenger seat. Someone at a table full of people who clearly love them. Someone posting a sunset, like their whole life made sense at 7 on a Tuesday. And the one night you actually go out, everyone at the bar looks lit up from the inside while you sit there working out when you can leave. So you close the app and tell yourself you'll do better. And the strange part is, you try. You watch the videos. You start the journal. You make the plan, the routine, this time it's different. The gym membership you used twice. The meditation app you opened 3 times. The fresh start that lasted 4 days. You promise to compare less and live more. And you're still unhappy, still stuck, still the one person who seems to have missed the manual. Here's the uncomfortable part. You're not staying unhappy because you stopped trying. You're staying unhappy because of what you keep doing while you try. There are 7 mistakes that can keep you unhappy, even when you genuinely want to feel better. And the reason they're so hard to catch is that every one of them feels completely reasonable from the inside. Start with the one you'd never even call a problem. You're in an ordinary moment, a decent meal, a walk that's going fine, and part of your mind leans in and asks, "Am I happy yet? Is this it?" It sounds like self-awareness, but there's a finding researchers call the paradox of valuing happiness. The more aggressively people chase it, and the more they monitor whether they have it, the worse they tend to feel. The moment happiness becomes a target, you keep measuring. You stop living the experience and start grading it. You're not in the dinner anymore. You're watching yourself have it. And then the loop closes. You check whether the good moment is good enough. The checking thins it out. And when it feels thin, you decide, see, even this didn't work. You didn't fail to enjoy your life. You interrupted it to ask for a receipt. The next one is sneakier, because it looks like progress. You spend hours trying to understand your pain, why you're like this, what happened to you, which version of you got built around it. You can explain your sadness in detail, trace it to the exact year. And nothing changes. Psychologists have a name for the loop: rumination. It's 2 in the morning and you're running the same conversation again, sure that if you just understand it from one more angle, something will finally let go. Doesn't. You mistake the intensity of thinking about your life for the work of changing it. Knowing why a room is cold isn't the same as turning on the heat. You can understand exactly why you feel bad and still do every single thing that keeps you feeling that way. You already felt this one tonight when you opened your phone. You compare your private life to everyone else's public proof. You live your own life from the inside with the lights on, the boredom, the doubt, the unanswered messages, the day that went nowhere. You see everyone else from the outside, edited down to the best few seconds, lit well, posted because it was worth posting. Psychologists call the engine underneath this social comparison, and it isn't a decision you make, it's an automatic reflex, running to work out where you stand. The trouble is, the feed gives that reflex 1,000 pieces of evidence a day, all pointing the same way. Everyone's doing better than you. So you end the night feeling behind, in a race no one told you you'd entered. But you're not watching their life. You're watching the part of it that survived editing. They posted proof. You're sitting with the doubt. Of course it hurts. It was never the same measurement. Then there's the one that costs you the most days, and it's so logical you'll defend it. You wait to feel better before you act differently. You'll go for the walk when you have the energy. You'll answer the messages when you feel less behind. You'll start again Monday when you finally feel ready. It sounds like patience. It isn't. There's a whole treatment for depression, behavioral activation, built on one brutal little idea. The motivation comes after the action, not before it. The energy you're waiting for is supposed to be produced by the very thing you won't do until you have the energy. So you wait for a feeling that only arrives once you move, which means it never arrives, which proves to you that you were right to wait. The walk gets pushed to a day that never quite comes, and the smallest thing, standing up, opening the door, was what would have started it. This next mistake wears a disguise. It looks like rest. It looks like taking care of yourself. You cancel the plan because you're tired. You leave the message unread because you'll deal with it tomorrow. And tomorrow you say the same thing. You scroll a little longer. And not one of these choices is big enough to feel like a mistake, which is exactly why it works. Psychologists call this experiential avoidance, dodging the discomfort in the moment, even when that discomfort is the way out. Each dodge buys about 20 minutes of relief and charges it to your life. The conversation you didn't have, the small, hard thing that would have reminded you still belong to the world. No single evening feels like a loss. You just look up one day and notice the safest place you know has become the smallest. Now the heavy one, so I'll say it carefully. Somewhere along the way, I feel unhappy turned into I am an unhappy person. It's a tiny change in grammar. It rearranges an entire life. A feeling moves through you. An identity is something you start to defend. And the part almost nobody admits is that the identity is useful. If this is just who I am is true, you don't have to hope. And hope has been the thing that keeps hurting you. Unhappiness becomes predictable. It explains everything and asks nothing of you. It never lets you down because it never promised anything. So when sadness becomes your name, part of you starts guarding the very thing that's hurting you, not out of love for suffering, but because you'd rather keep a self you recognize than become a stranger. And slowly a good week stops feeling like relief and starts feeling like a threat to who you've decided you are. And the last mistake is the one that ends most attempts. You treat one bad day as proof that nothing works. You do everything right for 2 weeks. You sleep, you move, you reach out, you almost feel human. Then a bad day shows up, because it always does, and your mind doesn't say, that's a bad day. It says, see, nothing works, the progress was fake. I'll always be like this. That's all or nothing thinking, and it slides into something heavier, the belief that the problem is permanent, total, and entirely your fault. Once you believe that, you stop trying out of a kind of logic. Why rebuild something you've already decided is doomed? But recovery was always going to look like good week, bad day, good week. The all-or-nothing mind just refuses to count the good weeks. The bad day was never the failure. Reading it as the final verdict was. Look at the pattern under all 7. Notice what they share. Each one feels like you helping yourself, and each one keeps you exactly where you are. You're not refusing to be happy. You've built a set of habits that keep unhappiness within reach, checking instead of living, analyzing instead of changing, comparing instead of seeing, waiting instead of moving, avoiding instead of facing, defending the sadness, and reading one hard day as the whole story. None of this means happiness is simple. Anyone who tells you it is selling you something. You probably can't force the feeling head on. That's the first mistake. But you can stop feeding the patterns that keep the door open for unhappiness to walk back in. And maybe that's where it starts. Maybe the first sign you're changing isn't that you suddenly feel happy. Maybe it's quieter than that. Maybe it's that you stop building a life where unhappiness always has somewhere to return.